It's the weekend here in the Pacific, so it is time for Spec Esports PC Open Series in Saudi Arabia, home of the self-marketed fastest street circuit in the world, at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit. I'm Nick White, and I'll be taking you around track tonight. It's Season 6, Round 11, and with just a handful of races remaining, we really are at the pointy end of the stick. So as you can see, we only have a few races left to go. Last week's race in Bahrain will be redone at a later date due to some wonderful OCE internet issues, but that one will be redone at some point. And from here on out, we are following the actual F1 calendar. So we are heading Australia, Imola, Mexico, and Abu Dhabi. So a really great set of races to close out this season 6 of Spec Esports. But alas, we are still here in Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm expecting a lot of crashes. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's just an absolutely brutal circuit. I think obviously the lack of runoff is a massive feature of that, but it's because of that it compounds your mistakes. So not only are the crashes bigger, but it's easier to get into crashes because there's so many high-speed corners one after the other. Messed entry into turn 2 or 3, not even turn 2 or 3, that isn't a great example at all, but messed up entry into one of those corners will stitch you up 3 or 4 corners later. So perfection really is going to be name of the game here. I think consistency as well. It might be worth playing it a little bit safer in the hopes that you just keep the car alive. Expect a few incidents as well. I think the safety car will get a pretty good few Ks on it tonight. Things are still getting saucy though. We have, just briefly before the real qualifying laps get started, our Drivers' Championships, the top 3 are separated by a mere 11 points. Clunky Boy, Dodge, and I Love Controller at 162, 157, and 151 points respectively. A really close Drivers' Championship battle, and they are also spearheading their teams to consecutive 1, 2, 3 positions in the Constructors as well. Also, another thing to note, Davis is in tonight racing for the, I wouldn't say struggling AlphaTauri, but the inconspicuous AlphaTauri. They won on their last outing in Singapore, came off a reserve. The McLaren has crashed there. Expect a few more of them. We will be crashing a lot this evening. Excuse me while I sort everything out. Yes, the full track map that takes up the entire screen. Very, very cool. So our fast lap has been set at just after 1:30 so far by Spidery. They usually do pretty well at the start of qualifying, but once everybody gets going, it really does start to be a bit of a struggle. We are on board with DJ Limptic here tonight, racing for Alfa Romeo. Pretty sure that isn't quite normally where he's at. Down this massive straight into turn 1. A really intense braking zone, and yeah, just loses it straight away. Oh, never mind, it might have been a bit of a lag, but they do manage to stay on the track, as Washed Data this evening does push it into the 128th really early into this qualifying session. DJ is approaching the top of the circuit where there'll be a massive hairpin, then all the way back down towards the start. This circuit is so skinny, but here they are approaching the hairpin. Turn 27. Or turn 13, excuse me. I was going to say that's not right. They made it through turn 13 though. Oh, that has definitely exceeded the white lines there. A yellow flag does go off in Sector 1. I think that would have exceeded track limits though. I want to hop on board with this Ferrari. Oh! Came back just in time to see them bang it into the wall. That's just fantastic, isn't it? Where is King at? King will be about to start a flying lap. Terminator a little bit further away from getting on the road, as is as is Davis, race winner in round 8 at Singapore. Big collision. Start of sector 1 there. Just after the finish line. Oh no, never mind, that was sector 2. It is King in the Williams at the start of their first flying lap. Their teammate, I Love Controller, has been doing really well for them, carrying them to a 3rd place in the Constructors standings. Let's see if King this evening can put in a little bit of work and keep them on track. Ivsky in the Mercedes is on track, but doesn't seem to impede King too much. Now just a sequence of high-speed corners, a really wide left-hander followed by an equally as long right-hand turn. Oh, but they're taking them beautifully. This almost zigzagging around Jeddah. King they are exploiting the track limits so well, but keeping really crucially one of those tires inside those white lines. That's a purple sector 1 for King. They're off to a really great start to this lap. Now the big hairpin at turn 13. Make it all the way around, really close to the wall. And that is something that we will see a lot of tonight, I'm pretty sure. These drivers going really high speed, really close to these walls, because it's how you have to maximize it and make sure you actually hit the apex of all these corners. King doing a great job, high speed, reaching all the way up to just under 300 kilometers an hour, actually hitting it there. Foot down for so long. Andre Cortez, another Mercedes getting in the way of the Williams. Seems like that could happen in real life too, but alas, nothing is happening. Yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 3. Will that impede the race for King? It doesn't look like. They just have one more corner left. The hairpin at turn 27. They brake quite nicely, dropping all the way down to 3rd gear, and it is foot down all the way until they cross the line. They're approaching the end of their lap here. What do they clock? A 129. That is enough to get them 4th best. But still, pretty significant a margin away from Dada, who still holds the best time at a 128.686. That purple sector 1, though, was a really promising start, excuse me, for King. If they can get everything kind of mixed together, that could be really promising. It looks like Ashray has just exceeded track limits there towards the very end of their lap too. That's absolutely heartbreaking. So that one will not count to much, unfortunately. Cade is about to start their first flying lap, trying to get a time on the board. Really nice exit out of turn 27 to try and just get as much straight line speed as they can. Getting well over 300 kilometers an hour on this first straight is what you should be expecting. These two McLaren drivers have been really close on the standings all season long, but there's a lack of major finishes. They're consistently finishing in the points, but no real high places. Oh god, that was close to that wall there, Cade. They were on for a really good race a few weeks ago. I believe it was in the USA, when internet issues struck down basically the entire lobby. So I'm really excited to see what Cade can do this evening, and hopefully an internet incident-free race here at Jeddah. They've taken that hairpin at turn 13 quite well, but it looks like they did exceed trap limits. As Whitefoot and I Love Controller both gone well into the 128s. Whitefoot at 128.190 on the 3-lap old soft tyres there. Interestingly enough though, Dada actually set his time on the soft compound tyre. That isn't normally what they go for. They are much more a fan of setting it on the medium, and that really influences their race strategy, which has been so successful for them, placing them in 4th throughout the Drivers' Championships this season. So I wonder if Dada will go for another lap a bit later on when maybe track evolution gives the track just a little bit more grip, and they will go for a lap on the medium tyres. It looks like that's what Davis wants to do, but they're still a while away in the AlphaTauri from getting to the start of their lap. J Miles is a little bit closer though. Both AlphaTauris going for the medium tyres. If this is what they start the race on, that could really impede their pit stop strategy, because they don't want to pit at the same time and double stack it. But looks like the lap is about to start for J Miles. Time is on the board, braking into turn 1, keeping everything neat and tidy. That wasn't as smooth as it could have been though. So close to the wall on the left hand side there. still such high speed, well over 250 kilometers an hour, which is just above that average speed limit for the track here. So I didn't exceed track limits on that one, approaching 13 here, getting as far right as they can, and then just hugging the apex all the way around. That gives them really good acceleration into almost this next straight, it almost is. A lot of this track is just high speed corners, foot flat to the floor. It's Eau Rouge for an entire, like, over 6 kilometers basically, which is thrilling, but obviously has its downsides, I guess you could say. J-Mars still holding it quite nicely. As I say that, they do bin it into the wall. That will be the end of that lap. Wasn't looking too bad as well. Brings out the yellow flag, but it won't be anything major. Unfortunately, Whiteford still at the top at a 0.19, excuse me. A lot of drivers are in the pit. There's only one man really out on the track, and that's currently I Love Controller, who's still on their outlap, so a significant way away from actually trying to put a time on the board. And there's just over 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. At the moment of our championship hopefuls, I guess you could say, Clunky Boy is leading them with a 128.29. Oh god, lost it a little bit there. Thank god it was just the outlap. But here they are. It is going to be I Love Controller getting the start of their flying lap. Very similarly to what we saw from Cade earlier on. Nice and wide to the right into the entrance into this main straight. So they can exceed that 300 kilometer an hour mark very, very comfortably, braking just after the 100-meter sign into the corner. There is a lot of traffic here though. Looks like they avoided it fairly comfortably though. I don't know if they will have to have impeded their racing line too much. Still staying on the track. It's so on the edge all the way around this circuit. Holding it quite nicely. They're about to get access to the DRS though, and with that rear wing wide open, adding a good 14 kilometers onto their top speed. They've made it around the hairpin. It looks like their teammate is just behind them as well on the track. Ah, there it goes. Lost it just a wee bit. That is that flying lap done for I Love Controller. Fourth is the best they can manage at the moment, but they easily have enough time to just drop back into the pits, sort themselves out. I'm really annoyed. All the resources I can find online for the track map and stuff, it's angled the other way, so turn 27 is at the top instead of at the bottom. It's really messing up me trying to keep track of where everybody is on the circuit. I'm excited to see where Spidery goes. They set the first lap of this session, and they're going in towards the town, nearly loses it. Really hugging that apex, nailed that entry into the opening straight. That will get them so much speed so quickly up to 8th gear and over 300 k's an hour, clocking 3.18 even. Might have been 20 for a little smidgen there, but alas, the walls were approaching, so they did have to brake. Oh, that right front tire was so close to exceeding track limits, and that would have been the end of the lap for them, but no, they did keep it in bounds. Zigging and zagging all the way through this Jeddah circuit. Whiteford's still at the top, and they haven't even considered setting another lap as of yet. They're still just really quite content with their 128.190, with a good 10th between them and nearest rival Clunky Boy. One thing I should mention actually is second place in our championships, Dodge. They aren't actually here tonight. So this leaves a lot of room for I Love Controller to make up some ground. That was a purple sector 2 if I'm not mistaken for Spidery as well. Maybe I should have my attention elsewhere. A real chance for the Ferrari to climb up these drivers' standings. Currently sitting at 15th with a highest finish of 7th place so far this season. They really will want to change that up. Getting a slipstream down towards the finish line as well even. So much acceleration at 129.3. Very respectable, qualifying in 7th at the moment. But there is time for people to fit in another lap. I don't know if there will be for Spidery though. So 7th is going to be the peak for the one Ferrari. But we do have to look to the other Scuderia of Old Mate. And they lost it. Just trying to push a little bit too hard. And that's a lot of damage to the front of that car. That's a really impactful yellow flag as well. That could even red flag the rest of the session. Yeah, setting some lap times with that massive old red car in the way is going to be really tricky for anybody else. Just set some final times. Wife is probably not too upset about that one though, honestly. Primetime is going for one last lap though. They are the stand-in for Dodge tonight in the Aston Martin. So there's only one dark green team on the field as of this evening. And as I was saying that, Cade demolishes the previous best time. They're well into the 127s with that lap. Cade, another super performance off the start. Just like they did in the United States just a few weeks ago. Putting it really high up the grid here in Saudi Arabia. Will anybody even be able to get close to that? Clunky Boy is going for another lap. And they are the nearest contender who's even on the cards for it. With Whiteford still in the pit, I doubt they're going for another one either. All tugging really hard to the left there, just trying to keep everything safe. Primetime still a significant margin off the top at the moment though. They're into the 132 still, so they really want to find some value out of this lap. Isn't looking too awful though. They just have this winding high speed section towards the end of sector 3 here, and then last turn, turn 27 into the main straight. They could have themselves a little bit of a lap here if they keep it neat and tidy, and they do. We've seen people bin it into that corner before, but Primetime will not suffer that fate. But it doesn't look like they'll be improving their time too much either. They do absolutely improve it, but not by much. Not the lap that Primetime was after whatsoever. And in saying that, that is going to be the end of qualifying. Clunky wasn't able to challenge Cade for that pole position, and it will be the McLaren, the Papaya, starting at the front of the grid. Such a shame Charles isn't here. I'd just love to say Monegasque like Crofty does. But no, I spoke too soon. Dada was still on their outlap. And that has granted them pole position, taking a further 200th off that. That is on the soft compound tyre for Dada though. So this will really mess up with their race flow. They're used to starting on the medium tyre and then going a little bit to that softer compound towards the end of the race. Not much left in this qualifying session. And it looks like about everyone who's going to be setting a further qualifying lap is done. Davis and Dada are having a little bit of banter in the Discord. That's fantastic. While we're waiting, we might have a quick look at the point system. What's going on up here? So first place is getting 30 points. So it's a little bit different from our traditional F1 calendar, but allows all the way down 23 for second, 20 for third even. So there are lots of high points up for grabs. Particularly, I'm going to be looking at I Love Controller throughout this race. With their nearest title rival in Dodge, only, what, 5 points ahead of them, I think it is? I am just going to double check that. They are only... yeah, there's only 6 points between I Love Controller and Dodge, so a good finish here tonight could really get them pretty solidly into that second place, especially if Clunky Boy doesn't get too much done. But speaking of Clunky Boy, it's also a chance for them to fully extend their lead in this championship. Back to the good stuff though, as I mentioned, it is Dada starting on the front row. They'll be joined by Cade Whiteford in second and third. Clunky Boy rounding out that second row of the grid. Ashray Ivsky, typically a really good qualifier, only down in 6th this evening, so they'll have a little bit of work to do in the Silver Arrow. I Love Controller down in 7th. They also have a lot of work to do if they want to capitalize on the absence of Dodge this evening. Thought it was a bit chaotic in qualifying, but with 20 cars, I think we have about 18 on the grid tonight from memory. It will get really hectic off the start. The big braking zone down into turn 1. I'm fully expecting a collision, long period under the safety car, all the fun stuff. Thought it was a bit chaotic in qualifying, but with 20 cars. Why does my microphone sound so bad? That's really upsetting. I'm going to put in a bit of work, see if I can fix that up. Hold up. Maybe that's a little bit nicer. Sorry about that. I didn't realize my microphone was so awful. Why does my microphone sound so bad? That's... Sorry about this, just some technical difficulties. Maybe that's a little bit nicer. Why is my microphone doing this? Streaming YouTube. Bugger, that's really upsetting, honestly. Why is my microphone? I think we're just gonna have to roll with it, unfortunately. Tail end of the grid. I didn't quite get to it before this race started. Spidery, Andre, Davis, Out My Chin, King, Max, DJ, Old Mate in that second, Ferrari, all the way down at 16th. Primetime and Terminator. Rounding out the field there, 18th is going to be our final grid slot occupied this evening. Predictive pit stop strategy powered by AWS is going to be the 2-stop soft to medium. It looks like that's what most of the kind of gang is on. Ten lights are now out and we are racing. King getting the penalties off nice and early. Just taking off a little bit too soon there. So they will get penalized for that. And yeah, they're dropping through the field really, really hard. The two Alpines holding their own in 4th and 5th at the moment. But this pack is still so bunched up. Cade did immediately get that pole position back from Wash Data, who clinched it from the final moments of that qualifying session just earlier, and they are now leading this race. A good half second between them and Data, gaining that distance. They don't have to worry about that 1 second DRS tightrope though, because that will not be opened up for a good few laps still. King and Spidery though, they have shocking starts. They have dropped 5 and 6 places respectively. Not ideal for them whatsoever. Whiteford remaining pretty solid in that 3rd place in the Red Bull, just tailing Data, hoping to get an opportunity at an overtake. But the real question is when. Even though this is typically a DRS zone, it's just speed, but there isn't much actual overtaking you can get done. And Cade, while Data is occupied defending Whiteford, Cade is just being able to put on that distance. A good second between them and 2nd place already. Really, really good performance. Whiteford considers going for the inside. Maybe even the old switcheroo. No. Data does stay ahead, and in attempting that move, they've actually lost a lot of space between them and Washed Data, unfortunately for Whiteford. So they will have to wait another go for this overtake. Nowhere near close enough for the dive bomb then. They're still maintaining this gap. It's so close. Looks like the Williams there, Isle Control was getting a little bit wonky. They had a less than ideal start, and it's only gotten worse for them throughout this race. They are down another position, all the way in 8th. Not in a position to be maximizing these potential drivers' championships points. But track limits are claiming a few victims this afternoon as well, but J Miles is making Isle Controller maybe go down even further into turn 13, all the way around the outside. God, both the drivers holding their racing lines very nicely, but it looks like the inside one was superior, and the Williams of Isle of Controller can stay ahead, but J Miles is still tailing them super closely, just waiting for a mistake. Still so close, they might have another opportunity at it towards the end of this 2nd lap with that big braking zone into turn 27. Maybe they'll be able to get something done along there, deploying the battery very, very heavily. They want to get it done now, does J Miles. Might even be able to snap up Andre Cortez in the process as well. Getting the full benefit of that slipstream, this wide left-hand turn, but they aren't in a position to make an overtake unless they can into this turn 1-2 chicane. Still, Isle of Controller has such a better exit out of turn 27, and they have just put so much distance between them and J Miles. They might even be looking to snap up Andre Cortez if they're not careful. And this is quickly becoming a 4-car scrap. This early on in the race, the midfield is absolutely packed in here. But as I've said that, they are spreading out just the tiniest little bit, giving each other a little bit of room to breathe. Following even, we aren't even on the 2022 cars, are we? Still following in these circumstances is so tricky for the high-speed corners in that dirty air. There's no real way you can escape it. It's a really rough circuit to stay following. J Miles swinging out to the right, maybe trying to get something done there, but wasn't quite able to find whatever they were looking for. Andre has 2 very eager drivers snapping at the tail though. Let's have a look where J Miles can get it done here. Towards the end of this lap, turn 27, that is an opportunity. DRS zone immediately, that should be available for these guys as well at the exit to turn 2. And you can see on the track map at the moment, Cade still has a pretty nice lead. Andre going all the way down the left. Isle of Controller does get it done. They crash! They have crashed into each other. The Mercedes has taken out the AlphaTauri. That is a big collision, but somehow that Honda-powered car keeps it going. How did they not suffer serious damage from that? Andre Cortez was nowhere near as lucky. They will be out of this race, and it looks like Old Mate got caught up in a little something there in Sector 3 as well. God. Davis, the winner in Singapore, not having the best luck either. Oh god, this Ferrari is looking a little bit rough, struggling even to get into the pit lane. That will signal a bunch of drivers to get onto the pits early from that collision. I imagine there will be a lot of changed front wings going on. Other controller out of the pits, yeah. Old Mate getting a new front wing. I imagine King will be as well. Swing into the pits. Yep. The mechanic there with the front wing ready to apply to that Williams. Shocking start for the Williams. Nowhere near what they wanted to happen there. Excuse me, I'm just having another look at my microphone. What if I try that? Maybe that's better. I don't even know. Either way, the Williams is back on the track. Still under the safety car. So all that hard work Cade put in at the start of that race going downhill pretty quickly as they are stuck behind the safety car. And Cade's actually going to use it to pit really early on. Speeding in the pit lane to penalty too. Rough situation for Cade, and has given Whiteford the lead. So we have had a significant tail end of the field making pit stops, and so many will be utilizing the safety car. I think Dada in this moment will be pretty happy that they started on the softs, because then having to pit and waste the mediums is less than ideal, but they're using the safety car to warm up the yellow tires. So a very, very short stint on the softs, kind of forced, but still, can't say it's too bad at the moment. Yeah, significant portion of the field over to that mediums. Will they last for the rest of the race though, is the question. All these high-speed corners surely will chew up the grip. Speaking of that, Dada nearly loses it. Whiteford and Max, the two Red Bulls, are at the front of the field here, joined by Terminator, none of them choosing to pit. So they will lose that position to pit stops eventually, because the safety car does grant a free pit stop. But will Whiteford be able to gain an advantage of that? If they're on the mediums, I could maybe see it happening. But they're on the softs, they will degrade, so they only have a few laps to get in a significant margin between them and third and fourth place, otherwise Cade will just retake that lead. Safety car still out in full force. Not going anywhere. I'm just going to double check this audio here. Margin between them. Yeah, I'm still doing my best R2D2 impression apparently. This is really upsetting. I know, I'll look into that, make sure it isn't there next week. I thought it was okay. I thought it wasn't happening anymore, but alas, technology has claimed me. No indication as of yet when the safety car is going in. Still just stuck behind, and the life is just being added and added to those soft compound tires that the top three on the grid are running. And with the grid so grouped up, this restart will certainly claim a few more as well. We only have one driver completely out of it so far, that being Andre Cortez. I feel like they've had a fair bit of bad luck over the past couple of races. But they are completely out of the equation here. Still going around, still under this safety car. Haven't got the notification from race control that safety car will be coming in anytime soon either. There are a few warnings out as well. Cade, Ivsky, and Ashray all getting penalties at the moment. Excuse me. Jimmy Lockett still hasn't said safety cars going in. Rough. We're in for a long night. It's okay, I have nowhere better to be. Safety car is in this lap, excuse me. I did not see that whatsoever. And there's been a collision. What on earth? There's a collision under the safety car, but on other things, Max, off that restart, had a beautiful dive bomb around the outside of turn 1 and has taken the lead immediately off their teammate. What a move from Max. And they are leading this race. I'm trying to figure out what happened to Clunky Boy, because they're in the pits at the moment with King. Something happened there, and that put Clunky Boy's race in jeopardy as well. They had a really good opportunity to gain some points, extend their Drivers' Championship lead, but now they'll have to fight all the way from the back with, what, a third of the race left. A third of the race gone, even. Where else is there action happening? Back here there is. The McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. Oh god, okay, nearly loses it there. The rear was just getting a little bit squirrely, but they do manage to keep all 4 tyres on the track and out of the walls, which is really important. Closely following them is Terminator in the Haas. Good weekend for them so far. Oh, this is going to be intense though. It is Ouch My Chin and Ashray. They are so close. Oh, how is that not a collision? The Alpine choosing to go up on the inside into the entrance to turn 27. They did get the overtake done, but will they just get snapped up into turn 1? The DRS won't be active since the safety car has just come in, and Ouch My Chin, what's happening? They're getting caught up as well. The Alpha Tauri of Davis is getting involved in it as well. They might gain 1 position in the corner, maybe even 2 if they're not too careful. Choosing to go around the outside, but no, Ashray did have the superior racing line, keeping everything neat and tidy up into 8th position. Ouch My Chin losing 2 places in as many corners there. Rough little segment for the McLaren. Clunky Boy did pit, I'm assuming to fix damage and also to slap on a brand new set of medium compound tyres. They could get them to the end of the race, but the other side of their coin is he'll have to be pushing them pretty hard to make up all of these positions. So you have to kind of manage nursing these tyres and also actually gaining the positions that you need to. Spidery has dropped the official comment of "I am sick of this game" in the Discord. That's fair enough, as Spidery has been taken out of this race, joining Andre on the sideline. It's kind of what you expect at this circuit though. A collision can catch out anyone just because the runoff is so short. Cows will bounce back onto the circuit and just stitch everybody up. Trying to figure out where there are positions to be made here. Ouch My Chin looking to snatch back that place that they lost to Davis about this time last lap actually. They have a full battery to use as well. They're accelerating nice and hard, gaining the slipstream as well. Max is in the pits. That will lose them a lot of time, as is Cade, and it's another safety car. Well, I think we've been on safety car for a while actually. I just completely missed it. Unlucky. I wonder if that was for the spidery collision that we're under the safety car for. Must be. That's actually worked out not too badly for Whiteford though, because they gained the positions with the first safety car, and now if they want they could get a free pit stop under the second safety car. Because they will need to pit soon. These soft tyres will not get them to the end of the race. They will start to fall apart eventually. Max Straplin in 10th place has put on the hard compound tyres. That indicates to me that they want to go for the rest of this race. They don't want to make another pit stop. They just want to go the distance. I'm wondering how these high-speed corners will chew up the rubber on these hard tyres, and if they will actually be able to last the whole way. So many drivers have fitted, though Whiteford still hasn't. I don't think I missed a notification saying safety car going in. Will Whiteford choose to pit this lap? But they are giving up track positioning, but when will they pit? They aren't going now. These old soft tyres will eventually become really difficult to manage for Whiteford. And amongst all the kerfuffle and people pitting under the safety car for this restart, Ivsky will be in second place, joined by J Miles Terminator on the equally as old soft compound tyres. So Whiteford and Terminator will drop pretty significantly position-wise as everybody is grouped up. That pit window not as is pretty dense with cars, I will say. Closely following them will be Ashray Davis in the AlphaTauri, a good comeback up into 6th position, putting the AlphaTauri into a pretty good spot. But much better than where they started. Ashmachin still behind the Alpine and the AlphaTauri, but has gained a few positions. They are all the way up to 7th, hoping to get a bit of revenge on Davis and Ashray, who both got them in the same lap. Isla Controller on the medium tyres. After a rough start, they are in 8th, which is just around where they started, I'm pretty sure. So they still have a fair bit of work to do if they want to get on these points, but of the Championship 3, they are significantly further ahead than Clunky, who is all the way down in 15th. So at the moment in the Drivers' Championship, it's looking not too bad for Isla Controller, even if they aren't at the very top. But expect both of those drivers, Isla Controller and Clunky, to do a fair bit of climbing in this restart. Neither of them are on brand new tyres. They are both on the used mediums at the moment. Safety car in this lap is the message from race control. Still questioning the decision from Whiteford that they didn't pit under the safety car there. You can see, even though it is essentially a hairpin, it is such a wide corner. So much length to it. As the safety car goes in, control of the race will go over to Whiteford. The restart is on their hands. They are going all the way down the straight. Safety car is in. Ivsky immediately trying to get the jump down the inside. There, he got such a good restart, and it will be Ivsky taking first position. But Whiteford wants to take it back really straight away into that turn 2 chicane. There's a little bit of a spin at the back. That looks like one of the AlphaTauris. Ouch, my chin. In prime time getting caught up in that one. Alas, maybe not one of the AlphaTauris. All that hard work from Ouch, my chin going down the drain so quickly. Ivsky in the lead. Whiteford a little bit behind them, but there's a good second between third place. Remember, second and third still have to pit at some point, and even still Ashray is chomping at the bit to get past Terminator in this Haas. They just missed an opportunity to into turn 13, so they might have to wait just a little bit longer towards the end of this 11th lap to make the move, maybe even into lap 12. And another safety car. Rough. What happened there? Anybody in the wall? Doesn't look like it. It might have been that collision with Ashman in prime time. It looked pretty brutal, and the penalties were given out straight away. Prime time gaining one for forcing a collision. Wyford speeding in the pit lane. No, they get a third safety car. And they will be losing a lot of positions, plus that 5-second time penalty. Really rough for them. But good for them. They are off those old soft compound tyres. These mediums could last them to the end of the race. And Davis, under these safety cars, has just been avoiding all of the carnage. They are all the way up to third. A really good climb from them. J Miles wasn't as fortunate in that race restart. And Ivsky leading the race now. They usually start off the race at the front of the grid. They are an exceptional qualifier. But so far they haven't been doing too well in the race pace department. But this weekend is very much a different story. Yeah, so they've qualified on pole 4 times. They've had 3 podiums, but all of them have been on the very bottom step of that podium with an average finish of 8th. So they, on average, lose about 4 positions every single race they take part in. This one will significantly hamper that stat, make it a little bit different. And it is Dodge who is out of this race, who is the most frequent recipient of the fastest lap point. So that is up for the grabs for somebody as well. Still cars just winding around under the safety car. Is there a rule for if there's like a fraction of the race under the safety car that the points just don't count? Is it like the rule that we saw in Belgium last year, where it was not a portion of the race had been completed, so it was like only half points? Jeddah's brutal. I hope that this isn't a representation of what we will see tonight. It's just so scary about this circuit. It just always crashes, and collisions take a while to clean up. Did Terminators overtake under the safety car? Or did they both pit and they somehow got ahead? Must have, because that one's gonna lap old tires. I'd been really confused for a second there. I thought they were overtaking under the safety car. But now, a similar story to last restart. Last time it was, let me remember, it was the 2 Red Bulls and somebody else was up there on those old used tyres. It was Terminator in the Haas. They were all on the old, significantly used soft compound tyres with significantly more mileage than any other driver on the circuit. And this time it's the exact same situation, except a lot of them are on the mediums. Davis on the softs will have a little bit less of an easy time than Ivsky and I Love Controller. With the safety car coming in this lap, the softs might give them a little bit of a chance to gain some position, but it really depends on how much life is actually left in them. Another beautiful view of this corner and the scenery around this place. But it will be race restart. It is all up to Ivsky, and it looks like it is now Davis getting the jump on I Love Controller. It looks like they are two abreast going into turn one. Around the outside, the Ferrari, of Olmate is trying to get their teeth in there as well. Alpine and the Williams of Clunky Boy and King coming up behind them as well. And Olmate has been losing place. The Ferrari, looking so eager to get off the mark, has actually suffered from it. And it is now Davis still holding that third position, but they are being very closely tailed by Clunky Boy, who, being so far down the grid not too long ago, but no, they will fall further with a 3-second time penalty. But we will get back to that later. They are looking for an overtake here. Davis trying to go around the outside on 13, but the Williams is just too far ahead. I Love Controller cannot be touched. This is looking like an excellent weekend for the Williams in the constructors standings so far, as King has climbed all the way up to 5th. Ivsky still with a significant lead, 1.7 seconds to next. But Davis isn't done. I Love Controller wants to have a go. Davis wants to have a go at I Love Controller here, Won't really have a chance to now, but maybe at this final hairpin, turn 27, they might be able to get something done. They are so close in the DRS activation zone and a full battery. They're going to go for it even earlier than that, around the outside of this long corner. Do they go for it? Outbraking the Williams. Do they put themselves in perfect position for the old switcheroo? No, they don't. They're being squeezed so far to the right there, but they managed to keep all tires out of the walls. So close to another collision as well, but Davis has, with that wider exit, actually gained themselves better acceleration. I Love Controller might have been the cause of their own demise there, but no. Sticking that front wing so far in front of that front axle. I Love Controller absolutely getting a penalty for that, and Race Control does confirm that very quickly. In a desperate bid to maintain that second place position, I Love Controller has made an error, put another driver at risk, and as a result is all the way down to 6th place. A significant portion of the field having warnings from Race Control as well, and a few in the pits as well. The Alphas and the Ferraris at the bottom. Must have been a collision there, and that's why Olmate dropped so far down the field. 10 laps to go. Ivsky going strong at the front. Oh, this is going to be intense. J Miles trying to get up towards their teammate Davis 123, who is at second place. Will they go 2 for 2 in race starts? They started and won in Singapore. This is their only race since then. Will they make it 2 for 2 wins in season 6 of Race Spec Esports PC Open Series? King, that's not a place where you normally see an overtake, but J Miles getting jiggy with it all the way around that curvy section in Sector 3, and they actually gained their position over King there. King just overstood their mark, the smallest amount, and absolutely was punished for it. Great intuitive move from J Miles. And but the DRS is back on, so they might get chomped up here. King is within that 1 second time zone to get utilization of that DRS, but they just aren't closing the gap. Yeah, they do have to break normal times. No attempts as of yet. Few drivers in the pits. This could be another DC from Cade. This looks like a ghost driving to me. Rough stuff for Cade. Their internet is not doing them any wonders. Their teammate McLaren, though, out of my chin, still going at it, and despite fluctuating so heavily, always seems to end up around that 9th, 10th position. J Miles, after having conquered King, is having a go at their teammate I Love Controller now. Will this be the second Alpha Tauri that will get past I Love Controller? For Controller's sake, I certainly hope not. They are so close. They will be the beneficiary of the DRS down here. Both cars probably getting really close to 300 kilometers an hour there. Here they are exceeding it. Big braking zone. But no, the Williams stays in front. But our real chance to see J Miles get the overtake here will be right about now. Clunky Boy does get into second place, but J Miles gets the axles ahead. Are they able to keep this position though? Yeah, it looks like the Williams has dropped significantly far back, in no position to look for to bait out the overbrake from J Miles. They will not be able to regain that position as of yet, but no, they do have the DRS. They're going for it right now. J Miles just set the fastest lap of the race, but they might lose that position right here, right now. R11 controller does go up the inside with the help of DRS, but this battle is still ongoing. Where are we? I lost us. Here we are. J-Mars manages to stay ahead. And now these fastest laps are flying in thick and fast. Whiteford looking to have a go at Davis. And Clunky Boy is kind of in that picture as well. They are pushing for first place. An excellent recovery drive from them. There is a reason they are leading this Drivers' Championships, and they are showing us exactly why in this race here. Davis is at risk of suffering the overtake from Whiteford 24 here, but no, Whiteford thinks better of it, thinks there might be a little bit of a safer opportunity later on. Davis exceeding track limits there, but no warnings as of yet from race control for that one. But Davis will be at risk, not only into this turn 27 hairpin, but also down the final straight. Now isn't going to be the time for Whiteford unless Davis makes an error. Tries to go around the outside, put themselves into the wall. Oh god, there's a reason they're in that Red Bull pulling their best Max Verstappen impression like that, and that has put any hopes of a turn 1 overtake in the books for J-Miles, for Whiteford even, but not for Davis. They were looking at it at Clunky Boy. They wanted to make it happen, but Clunky Boy making that car as wide as they possibly can. Not difficult too in the tight constraints of this Corniche circuit. Keeping the AlphaTauri behind them. Ivsky still at the front. A good 2 seconds between them and second place. On this medium compound tires, they're getting pretty old as well, and there is that warning for Davis for exceeding track limits. Will Ivsky and Clunky have to pit again? Davis certainly will. They will have to pit. They have been on these soft compound tires for a long time. At what point do they choose to come into the pit lane? And they have to do it soon, because if they do it too late, they won't have time to regain all the positions they'll lose. They certainly need to make that pit stop soon. But now all the drivers have kind of spread out. It's this Terminator looking to have a go at King. Less than half a second between them, but that is a 3-second time penalty. So even if they make up this position, they'll have to put a really big gap between them and the Williams to keep it at the end of the day. Ashray is getting really close to prime time as well. Prime time, a little bit of a recovery drive from them as well, starting very far at the back of the grid. They might have even been plumb last, but no, they are all the way up into 11th, but it might just become 12th really soon. That was so close! The exhaust of that Aston Martin agonizingly close to the front wing of Ashray's Alpine. Keep it on the mark, so thinking about going around the outside. No, these drivers are winding, albeit probably even too much, forcing Ashray to brake really early. Gets the outside line and thinks about the old switcheroo, but they do not have the room to get it done. They will get the DRS down the straight though, forcing them into the pit lane. Prime time with some dirty racing right there. But despite it, Ashray does get past them. There'll certainly be some complaints about that one a bit later on. Prime time forcing them into the pit lane almost, but still Ashray does gain that position. Whiteford has pitted from close to the lead. They are all the way back in 12th, and they are on recovery mode at the moment. Trying to get past Prime Time, they do that with ease. Those new tyres really benefiting the Red Bull, but there's 8 seconds, if 10, between them and 9th place. So they have a lot of work to do in the last 6 laps of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I can speak English sometimes, if I try hard enough. I can hear double of your voice, I'm aware. Yeah, Prod's a bit scuffed at the moment, boys. Sorry about that. Yeah, Cade is out of the race. They are racing as a ghost, as I suspected. This is going straight through that McLaren. Easy position gains for Ashray, but also for Whiteford. The recovery drive is still on the cards. Drivers are spread out a fair bit now. Davis still on these soft tyres, but look, they've just lost all their grip, consistently exceeding track limits. They will have to pit. Surely soon. Maybe some Sergio Perez level of tyre management if they can get these to the end. Prime time still going at it down here with Terminator though. There is really close. King getting in on the action as well. Prime time falling further and further down the grid. Those 7-lap old mediums might be starting to cause them a bit of trouble, but no, that was the Red Bull! That was Whiteford putting it into the wall, and all I was saying about that big recovery drive before is out of the equation. Big yellow flag in Sector 1. But Whiteford does manage to keep that car going somehow. That looked like a race-ending collision there. Yeah, these drivers have really put a lot of space in between them now. The AlphaTauris have recovered quite nicely to a 3rd and 4th. Davis is looking, still getting that place. They didn't choose to pit this lap. Still the closest of anybody going around at the moment. Whiteford recovering, trying to get past prime time. Still not the smoothest driving we've seen in the world coming out from the Aston Martin there. Nothing Whiteford shouldn't be able to deal with. There is a position change down here. Automachin has dropped another one, and Max has DC'd. So what was looking really promising for the Red Bulls has gone down the drain quite quickly, unfortunately for them. Automachin is going to have a go at Dada here. And half a second between them, overtaking that Ghost with ease, but now the real challenge is on the hand for the drivers in 6th and 7th position. R11 controller is up for grabs as well for whoever is daring. Automachin going really wide, adjusting to the left, maybe even a little bit too early. 3-second time penalty for Whiteford. Watch Dada swerving a little bit out of that turn. That was turn 27. But now down the main straight. Automachin is nowhere near in position for a dive bomb. This top 4 looks pretty set in stone unless time penalties come through or there's another safety car. Dada is getting it done there as well. They get past the Williams. They are on an absolute tear. These 6-lap-old softs looking brand new in their hands. There's such a big gap between them and 4th. It'll be a very tough mission for them to close that one out. Automachin looking at it, but I don't know if R11 controller will want to give up this position. Make it out of the hairpin 13. A good second here. King was looking really good for a while. They have dropped a little bit further down the field. But it looks like maybe they're challenging for 2nd place up here. They are absolutely going to the end on this sauce. What an insane stint from Davis. How are these tyres not given out? 17-lap-old. Ivsky on the medium still comfortably in front as of currently. Shin finally getting the chance that they wanted at I Love Controller, going around the outside into the exit in turn 1, but the front wing of that Williams is just being stuck so far inside that McLaren. But it looks like the Papaya does eventually succeed in gaining that position. Will the Williams have another go at it soon enough? Automachin with that track limitation breach might actually just lose it to time penalty. All but one of the drivers have race control penalties at the moment. So, and with everybody pretty grouped up, it actually could change. outcomes in this race. Clunky Boy is getting really close to Ivsky though. That must have been a mistake from the Silver Arrow that has let the Alpine get so close. Another win is on the cards here. Do they get it done? Ivsky driving a bit erratically there, forcing the Alpine to take some evasive action. Prime Time has had to pit very late, slap on a set of mediums. You'd would rather the soft in this circumstance. That was a swerve from Ivsky, but Clunky Boy with the switchback gets the outside line going into turn 1, but they cut across. They were significantly far ahead, so they could just cut off the racing line of Ivsky there and gain the lead off that move. It is Clunky Boy in the penultimate lap of this race, gaining the lead. Ivsky. Dude, all these drivers are on old tires, making contact with the wall there. This could go downhill really quickly if they're not careful. Davis is in position. Still just absolutely gobsmacked by the stint David has been on. I guess a lot of them were under safety cars. Do they get a crack at Ivsky? It's just a bunch of 3-second penalties, subatomic. Oh god, that Mercedes was getting so close. How did they not touch there? They do touch. Davis has been spun. There's enough of a gap between them and next. No, there isn't. Oh, that was really dangerous from Davis. Excuse me. Clunky Boy has put on a really nice 3-second gap between them and next. Prime Time has been really suffering that late pit stop, making their splits look a little bit dodgy. And watch Dada with a DNF. What on earth has happened there? It's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That was them who just crashed out then. That is really unfortunate for Dada. Right in the middle of Sector 3. Very likely this safety car will come out, race ending under safety car perhaps. Ivsky with a 3-second time penalty. That might put J Miles in 2nd place at the front of the field here if they're not careful. I wish I caught that crash from Dada, but a little bit hard. The only real battle left to go here, Davis with another 3-second time penalty. That's got to be 2 or 3 for Davis. So they might drop all the way down, but J Miles taking full advantage of it. Another ballsy overtake, the second really nice one we've seen from them tonight, putting them up into 2nd place. But at the front of the field, 7 seconds to the next, it is Clunky Boy. Very significantly far out front, and barring some tragic error, they will cross the checkered flag in 1st place. Great weekend for the Alpha Tauris as well. Davis, another stellar stand-in performance from them. I'm curious to see how much the grid penalties actually do shake up everything. It looks like no positions are really changing towards the end of this race. There are significant gaps between everybody else. The rest of the changes in the grid tonight will happen in the stewards room. Yellow flag in Sector 2 as well. Looks like that was Whiteford. Stopped on a dime. No, maybe King. It was King who crashed. That was looking so good for the Williams as well, but they crashed out on the final lap as well. It didn't even look like they were fighting for position. The AI of Cade getting them across the line. Prime Time a whole lap behind. That's a bit rough for them. And Whiteford. Race strategy didn't work out wonderfully for them, and a collision. They were at the top of the field for such a long time, but at the end of the day it will cross the line. 13th place before any warnings come into effect. That's going to be it. Saudi Arabia Let's look at how these time penalties shake everything up. Terminator gaining driver of the day. They had a good performance. I'll give them that. And it looks like that is the Alpine of Clunky Boy on the top step. Another good performance from them. They'll be extending their championship lead pretty dramatically. So they'll be 35 points ahead of Dodge now. They will go up to 192 points. Izzy occupying that third step. AlphaTauri on the second. And Davis, after a superhuman stint on the Stoff compound tyres, finished in 4th place. Everything came through. It's like fastest lap went to Whitefoot. They had a pretty good qualifying session. So unsurprising. They got actually surprisingly close to qualifying pace there in that one. But yeah, look at all these time penalties coming through. That changes anything. That's gonna be it. Finally done. It's GG's, dude, as they say in the industry. So just a reminder, this is how the points are going to be going tonight. A lot of them going to Clunky Boy in first place. A few DNFs. Spidery DNF'd. So did Andre Cortez. Clunky's very happy about that one in the Discord. And here's the flack for Prime coming through. They did some pretty interesting driving throughout that one. But alas, that is going to be it. Saudi says hello from Italy. Pog, dude. Have a look at our calendar, see where we are heading next. We are off to Australia. Albert Park, exciting circuit. That will be a good old time. But we'll have to wait until next week, same time, same place, for round 12 of our PC Pacific Open, presented by Spec Esports. I've been Nick. I'm going to head off. Sorry about the dookie broadcast. I will fix up these microphone issues. I'm currently unsure of what's actually happening with them, but I will make sure that is fixed up in the very near future. Hoping everybody has a good night. Later.